So, I just watched Borderlands, the movie, which you might have heard of on account of it being widely considered one of the worst movies ever made. Ever. It's a video game adaptation, and historically, most video game adaptations are kind of bad. But recently, we've seen a change in that with Mario, The Last of Us, and Fallout being considered fairly excellent. Borderlands is an interesting case, however, of something not quite game accurate and not quite the movie audiences might have been looking for. Uh, as I said, it's an interesting case. But Connor, I hear you ask, what did you actually think of the movie? Good question. What did I think? I actually liked it. I know, but hear me out, okay? I'm not exactly a big fan of the Borderlands series of games, so I didn't have a lot of preconceived notions about how the movie should be. I went with a couple of friends who knew the games a bit better than me, and I am aware of the games on like a sort of tangential osmosis level. I know it wasn't all that accurate, the movie, though the costuming is phenomenal, and most of the special effects were all right, were fine. Uh, Emphasis on most of them, as it happens, but still, Borderlands to me is just it was a dumb action flick following Kate Blanchett as redheaded Lady Star-Lord, hired by some rando McEvil corporation guy to find his daughter Tina, who's been supposedly kidnapped by Kevin Hart and some sort of fantasy berserker. She is helped along the way by a sarcastic robot called Claptrap, voiced inexplicably by Jack Black, who who definitely doesn't want to be there and is programmed to remain like optimistic and happy and like no matter how bad things get, he's like supposed to be like all like chipper. So that's a kind of a fun premise, yeah. But all is not what it seems, and the gang is forced to team up against the evil corporation because it's evil and a corporation that wants to take over the universe with the powers of the mysterious vault, only able to be opened by Tina herself, supposedly. Things get a little more complicated than that, but movie stuff. Basically none of these characters behave even close to their counterparts in the games. But I, for the most part, did find Kate Blanchett to be a kind of a very smooth, charismatic lead, offset by the others quite well. While I know Jack Black's role in the movie has been somewhat controversial, I found his performance as a mean spirited, sarcastic, and somewhat jovial robot that in no way resembles the fan favorite, lovable dork Claptrap. I found him rather enjoyable. I laughed a few times, although not at every joke. Maybe I have a pea brain or something, I don't know. But yeah, I thought Tiny Tina was pretty good, though she never really made me laugh per se. And I thought the sort of barbarian psycho guy worked well for what he was there for. I think if you sort of go in expecting the characters to not resemble their game counterparts, then it won't suck nearly as much as you might think. The only real performance I wasn't really impressed by was Kevin Hart, who's Kevin Hart, yet he plays a very reserved character in this. Not quite what I was expecting from him, to be honest. Being a very eccentric sort of actor, right? Uh, but yeah, okay. The story itself didn't really blow me away either. But for being not the Borderlands movie, and instead being a kind of cheap knockoff of Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought it did fine. Fine being the operative word here. I mean, for all the hate it's been getting, I was expecting something at least as bad as Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, let alone like The Room or Batman and Robin, or none of which are better than this, right? None. Borderlands is no terrible movie. I mean, in my opinion, and far better than such movies that it has recently been compared to. Uh, my only complaint really is that it could have had a better villain. I've mentioned before how I love the original live action Street Fighter movie, uh, but that movie is terrible, worse than Borderlands by far, and I'll die on that hill. But I actually like Street Fighter more than Borderlands, the movie. Really on account of Raul Julia's performance as M. Bison, the most wonderfully ridiculous character that movie desperately needed. If they'd had perhaps a more charismatic, conniving, and/or absurd antagonist instead of um, was his name Atlas? I think it was Atlas. Then I think Borderlands would actually have been damn near good. I dare say. Uh, Aside from that, the movie was fine. It's a mindless action flick. A good time with friends, and I hope it succeeds. I know it won't, and that's a shame. But I hope it does. This has been my defense of the Borderlands movie as being not nearly as bad as people say. A fine movie for what it is. Uh, like and subscribe if you like the video. Heck, like and subscribe if you didn't. I'm just sharing my opinions on stuff. Yeah, and hit the bell icon while you're at it. So yeah, bye.